Hey, what's up, everybody? David, the Pro Solo. Oh, I'm not the Pro Solo Flipper anymore. David and Melissa, the Pro Duo Flippers, here for another live. If you don't know who I am, or if you're following, I don't know if anybody's even watching, but I guess I'll just talk anyway. So, we are full-time sellers on eBay and Poshmark, pretty much. We do a little bit on Amazon, a little bit locally. Um, anyway, we're doing this live. If you're there right now, it's showing 0 people there, so I don't know if anybody's there or not.
Because it still says it's waiting.
Oh, I don't know
It
if I should be
won't let
waiting.
me.
I got a thumbs up, so somebody, did you give me a thumbs up?
No.
Okay, so maybe somebody can see me. Oh, it's showing a couple people now. If you can hear me and you can see us okay, just let me know in the comments. I know it takes a minute. It seemed like last time it took a minute for the chat to come up, or the chat to come up. There it goes. Hey, Mary from Ohio. Hey, Tanya. How are you guys doing? We'll give it a couple minutes so that. Wow, that's a really close-up of our face. We'll give it a couple minutes to have people show up. It looks like there's 5 people. Thanks for the thumbs up already. That's awesome. Thank you guys. If you guys can give me a thumbs up, I appreciate it.
I don't know how to get to it. Oh, look, everybody can see it but me.
Okay, go. You have to hit. Sorry, just give us just a minute here. We'll get it figured out so we can see the comments on her phone without having to look at here. I think you have to go live chat.
I did.
There you go. All right. So I'm going to quickly repeat what I said in case nobody heard it, because it was showing 0 people were in here when we started. But I'm David. This is my wife, Melissa. She just recently joined me at the start of this week. We are now both full-time resellers, both giving up our professional type jobs to do this full-time. I've been doing it full-time for coming up on 2 years now. And I don't know if this just doesn't show the chat while I'm talking, or it just kind of disappears and comes back. Okay.
As soon as somebody chat or sends a message, it comes up.
Oh, okay. It pops up for a little bit when someone comments. Okay. So anyway, today we're just going to do a live video. We enjoyed doing our first live, was it a week and a half ago or so? I feel like it's pretty fun, and people came with a lot of questions. So we thought we would do another live today, let you guys ask questions, just talk a little bit kind of with the topic of sourcing. I guess I kind of feel like an expert at sourcing. I certainly do enough of it. Not as much as I do listing, so that's the problem. But so if you guys have questions, just start chatting about at any time you want. But basically, I'll kind of go over what I mainly do for sourcing, and kind of how it works for me. So I source a lot, as we've talked about, as if you see my other videos and you see my other videos with my amount of backlog of unlisted inventory, I source a lot. So I would say that I mostly source thrift stores. In fact, a couple of weeks ago, I went back and looked at my numbers from last year, and even this year, I think, too, to see where the bulk of money I was spending on sourcing was, and it's by far at thrift stores. So I go to thrift stores probably 2 or 3 times a week, sometimes 4 or 5. But I love to go to garage sales, but garage sale season is really short here, and so it only lasts for a few months, and it's a small town, so on the busiest of days, there's really only about 20 yard sales or something. In fact, it's wrapping up right now. Pretty much when school starts back up, garage sale season pretty much ends, and it doesn't really start up until late May or so. So I love garage sales, but I don't really spend that much money there because I just don't do enough throughout the year and everything. So I mostly source at thrift stores and auctions, and then I would say last is probably garage sales, even though it's probably one of my favorites. But and I want to say, to give you an idea, I think I spent about $26,000. You probably didn't know that, but $26,000 sourcing last year. And this year, it's August, almost September, and I'm already at $26,000. So I've definitely spent more this year, but my sales are pretty high already too. So, and last year, I think my sales were about 125,000 or something. And keep in mind that I spent 26,000 sourcing, but not all of that got listed. So that's not exactly my cost of goods. So Basically, I will get up in the morning on the days that I go sourcing, and I'll hit 3 different thrift stores. I try to target it a little bit as to when the thrift stores are putting out stuff. So we have one thrift store that currently is only putting stuff out after hours or before hours. So I get there right when they're open, along with probably 15 other resellers, and I hit that one in the morning, and then I don't go. I don't go back to that at any other time of the day. I just go in the morning. And then there's another one that I try to hit after that, because they usually take about a half hour to start putting stuff out. And they will typically bring stuff out in carts and just let it sit there for people to go through the new stuff, which is kind of nice, because you know what's new and what's just got put out. And then there's the Goodwill here in town, which kind of just puts stuff out throughout the whole day. So I don't really worry about when I get there, unless there happens to be some kind of a sale or something. So,
We have a question.
what do you got?
Do you only source clothing?
So the question is, do I only source clothing? And the answer is no, definitely not. I am in all kinds of categories. If you guys ever want to check out my eBay store, you can see, you can just Google Idaho Great Goods, and then you can see exactly what I'm listing, what I'm selling. Nothing's hidden on there, so you can see everything. But I do get a lot of clothing, because clothing is really pretty easy to find. I think that anybody in any town can pretty much go to thrift stores and find some kind of clothing. And I mostly focus on higher end clothing. I mean, not necessarily like higher end brands. I mean, I do, but not like designer brands. But like I pass on most shirts. I don't buy shirts. I'm mostly focusing on like shoes and boots and like outerwear. So jackets, coats, vests, things like that, or like ski wear, snowboard stuff type. Anyway, something that would sell for a higher price point, because I don't really want to sell $15 shirts. I would rather sell a $40 jacket or $50 pair of boots or something. So hopefully that answers that question. But yeah, I source all kinds of stuff.
Tony also wants to know, how many items do you list per day, and what time of day do you try to list? So that's kind of tricky.
Yeah, that is. I don't really have a set time that I list, but it tends to be after, like between lunch and the end of the day. So between, I guess, 12 and 5 is when the bulk of my listings get put up, and that's mostly because I knock out other stuff that I'm doing during, in the morning hours. So that may be packaging up stuff that's sold overnight, and then that may be going sourcing in the morning at thrift stores, coming home and having lunch, and then that's kind of when I get to my listings usually, if I'm leaving. But as far as how many per day, that's difficult too, because it's just going to depend on the day. It's going to depend on what I'm listing, and it's going to depend. Basically those two things. So I try to get. I historically, when I was by myself, I was hoping to get 20 a day, like 5 days a week, and that's kind of what I averaged, was about 100 a week. Now that we are full time together, I expect that to double, and that hasn't really happened yet. But it's only been 4 days, right? Although I would say that I've gotten 35 listings up today. So, and that's mostly of stuff that she has drafted. So, and that's what's really going to help. She's kind of doing the drafting, and then I'll be doing the listing. So I think I've got about 90 listings up so far, which
just this week.
So far, between Monday and Thursday, I've got 90 listings up so far. So if you assume I'm going to do some on the weekend, and hopefully I'll get more tomorrow, quite a bit more tomorrow. I don't think we're going to hit 200, but if it's our first week, I don't expect to automatically hit 200 listings a week. So
I don't know. Maybe you have a bunch of drafts still sitting there.
Yeah, she still has a ton of drafts done, so it's possible. And I just brought home a bunch of stuff from the auction today. I've already listed about 5 or 10 of those things. And I assume that you guys are going to hear all my notifications, so sorry. Hopefully I don't get too many. Maybe I'll get a few to choose. But anyway, so hopefully that answers your question. I think we're going to be shooting for 200 a week. However we do that, maybe 40 a day. But I don't know if we'll be able to pull that off or not. We'll see.
Okay, so hi Ginger. Tanya also wait. No, you already answered that. Thrift Daddy says, do you sell a lot of video games?
I don't. I used to. Back in the day, that was kind of almost only what I sold. And I'm talking, when I say back in the day, I mean like back in 99, 2000, when I first started doing this, I would just pick up, they were everywhere. So you go to the thrift stores and you find games and controllers and systems, and you go to garage sales and they're just everywhere, and they were dirt cheap. And that doesn't really happen anymore. So you just, I hardly ever see them at the thrift stores, or if they are, it's just like, sports games, Xbox sports games or something. And it's just not, they're not worth that much money. So I would love to, because they sell great. I really like to sell the older, like the Nintendo stuff, the Nintendo 64 stuff. Just, I mean, it literally just flies off the shelf. So no, I don't. I wish I could find more. But it seems like everybody knows the value of that stuff these days. So, and I know some people still sell a lot of it if they can find it.
So California Flippers here.
Hey, what's up, Adrian?
Sean Cleveland from California.
Oh, from Tracy.
Welcome.
That's not too far. I used to live in the Bay Area too. I was in Newark, if you know where that is.
Tanya also says, do you offer best offer on your listings?
So no, I don't. I think someone asked this in the last live, but I'm sure we'll get repeated questions the more we do this. No, I don't. I kind of price competitively, and because of that, I don't put best offer on that. I just don't want to deal with all the low ball offers. And at the same time, eBay still allows people to make offers, if you didn't know that. I think that if you send a message to a seller and make them an offer, there's wording in that message that's making an offer, eBay will put a little button in there for accept offer or deny or decline or counter offers. So if you weren't aware of that, that's a thing on eBay. And then we're also doing Poshmark now, which pretty much everything is sold through best offer, because that's just how that platform is, I guess. Like I said last time, we sold about 30 things or so. I think we've only sold 3 or 4 things that were they just bought it without making an offer.
Sean asked, how did you source for health equipment like weights and stuff?
For weights, I've picked up a lot of weights on Facebook Marketplace. And then I've picked up a few at thrift stores. Don't see them there very often. But most of them were at Facebook Marketplace, and I would buy like large lots of them, I guess, when I could. I've spent as much as $500 or $600 a couple times on just a massive amount of weights. And I have hardly any weights left. I mean, they sold. Like I picked up some at the auction today. I don't get them at the auction very often, but I picked up some at the auction today, and I listed 2 of the plates, and they sold already. So weights are still doing really well. They're not quite going for the amount that they were a few months ago, but definitely still a hot item. All right, so yeah, I think that's all the questions so far. So keep them coming. If you have any more questions, I don't know how long we're going to go on this video. I guess it'll depend on how many questions people have and how much I have to say. But I would say when I go sourcing at thrift stores, I know that someone had asked about if I just source clothing or not. One of the reasons I don't source just one area is because I live in a smaller town, so I don't do just one category, because I feel like I know there's a couple people in this town that mostly just do one category, and they maybe do books, and I'm not that good at books, so I can't compete with them because they have knowledge. But I will pick up books if a cart comes out if a new cart comes out, I will take the time to look through them. But like I said, I look in every category, and that enables me to stay in town. We only have 3 thrift stores here that are decent, and because I source in every category, I go through the whole store pretty much. There's very few areas of the store. I only look at the blankets, although I probably should, because I know there's some good money blankets sometimes. But I mean, I pretty much I don't look at baby clothing, like the little tiny kids clothing. I do look at the kids section for like ski gear and stuff like that. But I look in the men's clothing, the women's clothing, men's and women's shoes. I look in electronics, sporting goods, like industrial type stuff. And then for sure clothing for men and women. But I don't look through all the women's clothing. I mostly just look at the outerwear, like the jackets and stuff like that. And if I have time or I'm feeling like looking more, then I might look through their pants and their shorts too for some higher end, like outdoor gear type stuff. But And kind of the same thing with auctions. I will go and look through everything that's at the auction, and if I feel like it's something that's going to be worth some money, I'll take the time to look it up. And I feel like being curious is really the best way to find a lot of merchandise. Is just taking the time to look it all up. There are a lot of people I think that they just pass through stuff without really looking it up to see if it's worth money, and I'm not one of those people. As for garage sales, for sourcing at garage sales, typically I will try to, like the night before, put together a list of, the kids are home, so. I will typically put a list together of the garage sales the next day and kind of schedule my time and then kind of plan a route just so I can hit as many garage sales as I can as early as possible. And then if there's something I see that I'm particularly interested in, then I might, bump that one on the list to try to get to that first to get some good deals. But that's about it. I mean, I don't know what else I could help you with the sourcing. If you haven't tried auctions, I really recommend trying those. Finding one local in your area. Just Google for auctions near you, and then just take a look online and just look that stuff up on, look up comps on eBay or wherever you sell, and see what it's worth. You can get some really good. Not very many people buy clothing at auctions, so you can usually score clothing really cheap. There's not usually a lot of like newer type clothing, but what you might get is like estate sale type stuff, which can be great if you're looking for vintage items. So I've picked up quite a few vintage coats. In fact, I picked up a few today at the auction too. Or you might get like motorcycle jackets or something like that. I picked up a brand new motorcycle jacket today that I think I spent 40 on, and I expect to sell it for 120. So I did pretty well at the auction today. I guess I could talk about some of the things I got there today.
Yesterday as well.
Yesterday, as far as what I did.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yesterday I spent a lot of time going through the auction that was. The auction was yesterday, so I spent some time on Tuesday. I would kind of scan through all the lots. I mean, this auction had like almost 2,000 lots, so I would scan through all the lots and just flag every one that I wanted to look at. And I've talked about it. If you want more detail about how to source at auctions, I have a video that I made about it. So if you look at my other videos, you can see that. But I will just go through and flag everyone I'm interested in, and then at the end I'll have like a watch list, and maybe I think I had it back down to like 120 items, and then I'll kind of start going through those, maybe go in and look at the pictures and decide if it's something I really am interested in or not, and delete the ones that I'm not interested in, and that'll whittle it down to maybe like 80 listings, and then I will start going through and looking at comps on those things and deciding, and I'll put how much I'm willing to bid in the notes. And then if it gets over that, then I will just delete, if the bidding gets higher than that, then I'll just go ahead and delete that one. And I think I ended up winning, so it was like 2,000 lots, and I think I was originally had flagged like 120, and I think down to, we sold some. By the time it got down to the actual bidding, like the actual ending time for those auctions, I was down to maybe about 30 or 40. And so I was watching them as they're ending and bidding on. I try to bid at the last minute if I can, so I have less odds of people bidding over, after being. And then we went to tennis. So there was a few that I just had to bid early and hope that I wouldn't get outbid, but ended up doing fairly well. I think I ended up winning about 20 lots, spent about $400, and I got some good stuff. So I expect to make close to about $1,000 off that. Anyway, does anybody have any more questions about how I source or what kind of source, or? Oh, sorry if that was that pretty loud. I'm sorry about that.
Can you change your settings?
I don't know if I can change this while it's going. I think I'd have to close this window, so maybe not. But anyway, so I know California Flipper, he does a lot of video games, so maybe check his channel out. I probably need to go there and check his channel out to see how he picks up so many video games. Now, what do you guys mostly source? You guys that are in the chat, what are you guys sourcing, or what is your category that you typically sell in? clothing is really good. It's really easy to find, but the problem is, with some, you deal with certain things. I would say if you're going to go do clothing, check it over very carefully before you bring it home. She gets really irritated with me that sometimes I miss a lot of stuff because I get in a hurry and I throw it in the cart and then I don't go through it too thoroughly and then I get home and it has stains and it's a pain, or it's missing a button,
or it's got a hole,
or it's got a hole.
Or it's missing a zipper.
And I always say that I'm going to get better about checking it, and I think I have a little bit, but I still have those days where I just throw everything in the cart too quick and then I don't check it good enough. And then I end up with a few things that aren't, either they're not worth selling at all or I have to sell them for cheaper than I would because I have to disclose, the issues or whatever. So, any other questions here?
No. JW Hess 83 says they use online auctions to find items, and Julia does clothes because it's easy and there's a ton available.
Yeah, so that's what I do. So this auction house that we have in town does online auctions and they do live auctions, but I just do it all online. I do all the checking and the bidding and everything online, and then I just go pick it up in person. So it's a great way to get a lot of merchandise at once for sure. I pretty much filled up my truck today. And you might get something like I got one lot of books, like a whole bookshelf of books for like $7.50. I don't think there's going to be a ton of great books in there, but I'll sell the shelf for more and make all my money back and then some. And then, I'll pick out a few books and the rest of them will go back to the thrift store or go to the thrift store to get donated. And when I donate at the Goodwill here, they give you a 20% off coupon every time you donate. So I tend to donate pretty much almost every day I go sourcing. I try to bring a bag or a box of something so I can get that coupon. But so she says clothes. Julia says she sells lots of clothes because it's easy and tons available, and that's true. I mean, that's the thing. Like anywhere you are, you can find clothes. So you can find clothes at thrift stores, garage sales, and you can find it cheap. And you can find it at Facebook Marketplace. If you have a bins next to you, Goodwill bins or something like that, it's a great way to get cheap clothes. I've done that a couple times, but like I said before, I don't have one near me, so I've only done that a couple times. But that's a great place, a great place to go to get cheap clothing for sure.
Julia's on your side about it's dark in the store.
That's true. I think they do that on purpose because it's like I'm always like trying to hold it up in the best light, and it's hard to eat really, especially with stains. I mean, you just can't see stuff very well. And then you get it home and you go to picture it under the nice bright white lights, and then everything shows up. So thank you for defending me, Julie. I appreciate that. That's true.
So her bins are an hour away. Ours are what?
Two and a half hours.
Yeah.
The closest ones to us are 2.5 hours in Salt Lake City.
Yeah. So he's been to the bins in Salt Lake, and we were on vacation in Vegas.
I've been to bins in Vegas twice, I think, or just once.
I think you went 2 days.
That was the first time I ever went.
And he loved it.
It was fun. It's addicting because you sit around there, you wait for stuff to come out, and then you just kind of go through it real quick. Everybody does. And then you're waiting for and like almost every time they brought stuff out, I found a few things. And so you don't want to leave. You just want to wait for what's going to come out next or whatever. But any tips on picking a good online auction site and avoiding getting scammed? So I would deal with a local auction site if you can. That's for sure. That's really the only one I've done. I'm sure there's some other reputable ones out there if you did some research, but I would try to find one near you and maybe even go to it in person the first time. Just make sure that it's a legit operation and they don't have any kind of shady practices going on. Not that I've really had. I haven't had any experience with anything like that.
Oh my goodness! Did you see that?
Oh, thank you, Adrian. So Adrian's California Flipper. He's been following me since day one. Thank you for that super chat. That's the first one we've ever got. I really appreciate that.
Did you read the comment though?
And he says, you inspired me in my resale business. Been with you since bossless reseller days. Yeah. So when I started out, he's been with me for a long time. So I've been on Instagram probably 2 years now, almost. I think next month it'll be like 2 years. And I started out as being the bossless reseller, and then I had somebody else from Instagram who had pretty much the same name, I guess, contact me and say, it was close, but it wasn't that close. And I think the biggest deal was that he sells merchandise that says bossless reseller on it. which is pretty cool. And I was still new. I didn't have a big following back then, so I just decided to go ahead and change it because I didn't want to cause any problems or take anything away from anybody. But anyway, yeah, Adrian, California Flippers, been following me for a long time. We've had quite a few conversations in direct messaging. And he's full time. He's been full time for a while now too. And I see his numbers getting bigger and bigger. So check him out on Instagram. He also has a YouTube channel, so check him out there. Anyway, thanks for that super chat, Adrian. I appreciate it.
Hustle G, do you think there's too much competition within reselling?
I mean, I guess it would be nice if there was less competition because I would get that much more stuff. But I think the more you do it, the more you realize that there's so much out there that yes, there is. I guess yes, there is too much competition. I wish there was less, but I can find so much stuff that like I've said before, that more than me and her could probably list on our own. So we could probably hire, another employee, or I don't know about two. I guess we could if I spent more time sourcing, right? Because like I said, I don't even go out of town. I live in a town that's like 50, 60,000 people. We have 3 thrift stores and 1 auction house, and I never leave town to source. So I could take road trips and I could hit, 2 hours away. I could probably hit 20 thrift stores, but I don't need to. So, and I think that really helps by having it in different categories. So if you're having trouble finding stuff, I would recommend branching out into stuff into different areas so that you can find more items. But yeah. All right. Does anybody else have any more questions? So what are you guys sourcing? Like, I know that one person said clothing. I know that Adrian does video games a ton, and I know he does other stuff too. But I basically do electronics, sporting goods, clothing, shoes. I really love to find like stuff from a business. So whether it be their old inventory or tools or even product that's in the middle of being made or whatever. It's like this is getting not focused. Huh?
I'm focused. You look
maybe he just wants to look at you. I don't know. All right. Well, if nobody else has any questions, we're probably just going to go ahead and wrap this up. We'll probably be doing a live one again within a week or so, I hope. And also, if you guys want to leave in the comments, like if you're watching it now or if you're watching it afterwards, if you have any questions, about sourcing or anything else, just let me know. And basically, if you have other ideas of what you want to see in videos too, just let me know on that. So this one says, I just got a huge haul from auction, picked it up today, and I got 1,000 magazines of old train memorabilia dating 1930s. Wow. That's a lot of stuff. That's going to take some time to put up. But the good thing about that kind of stuff is it takes little space to store it, and listing it is probably going to go fairly quickly, right? So you don't have to do much of a description or much picture-wise like you would clothing, where you have to take 6 or 8 pictures and measurements and describe the clothing and stuff like that. So that stuff can be really good too. I haven't done much of that because I just don't have much knowledge there, but I've done a little bit of it, and it can be really good and great margins too if you get it cheap enough. Yeah. So anyway, thanks for coming and watching. I appreciate all the questions. If you guys need help, I have a guide available if you want to get help getting started. That's usually it'll be in a link in the description of all my videos. It's only $9, and I have my spreadsheet, $9 for that too. That'll help you get organized. Well, it's all your numbers and for your accounting. But follow us on Instagram, Pro Duo Flippers. So it's going to take a while for me to quit saying Pro Solo. Pro Duo Flippers. Follow us there too. Like, share, comment, subscribe. That really helps to know that people want to keep seeing these videos. Anyway, I think we'll wrap it up for now. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it. And we're going to figure out how to stop it again. I'm going to say that every time.